My name's Pam Richard. My birth date is 6/6/49, and I was born in Morgantown, West Virginia.
Tell us about your maternal grandparents. So, do you know how they met, where they came from, just anything about whatever you know?
Well, they came from Valley Point, West Virginia, and that's really where they met. When she met my grandfather, had a son, Earl Adams. And then when her and my grandfather got married, they lived at Gooseman. They had Betty, Annabelle, Little Jim, Dick, Twyla, and Bill. My grandfather, his name was Paul, and he was thin, and he had a good bit of hair, and he had a big nose, but to me he was the best thing ever. My grandmother, she was a little on the heavy side, not bad. She had pretty hair, pretty skin. And they're the ones that raised me. Well, they bickered a lot between each other. And my grandfather, he moved up to Michigan to get a better job because they was poor, and he needed to come up here and get a job. So then he got him a little apartment, and he would send my grandmother. I can remember so well going up to Hampstead's grocery store and getting her $25 check for the week. And she had about 4 of us grandkids. But she made it on that. And she is good to us all. And like I said, she raised me. When she'd go back and forth, I'd go with her. And Grandpa, then finally he moved back to West Virginia. He worked, I think, what was the name? I know it was in Dearborn. Was it a wagon wheel? It was, I can remember, because we had an apartment across the street. But I don't know the name now. Really, I don't know even if who would know. But I can remember him walking across the road to work, and me and my grandmother would walk to the Sears and Roebuck in Dearborn. And this place where he worked, it had a train track. So I don't know whether the stuff they made or whatever, they put on the train. I don't know that. The first school I went to, it was to Belleville High School. That's where they had the kindergarten. And I was, 5. Then I went to South Junior High. And I was probably 10, 12. I went to Edgemont. These are all in Belleville, though. I went there in 4th grade, so I was probably, 9, 8. Then we moved over there to Dearborn, and I went to, I went to just one, and it was I think it was a junior high too, but I'm not sure. I lived a lot of different places in Belleville, But I also lived a lot of places in West Virginia. That's just because of the work and stuff. And Grandpa had to go where he had work. I'll never forget the time I was little. I wasn't very big. And my grandmother and grandfather, we went to this, it was a restaurant bar, and my grandfather was a little tipsy. And he embarrassed my grandmother. I remember that so much. And boy, she got mad at him.
What did he do? Did he just
He was running his mouth to him, flirting with the waitresses, probably. If I. And what else? And Grandma, she was just a good person. She just, really, what I remember about her most was just taking care of kids. Because my Aunt Betty passed away when she was like 36, and she had 4 kids. And for a while, Grandma lived right down below them, so the kids would come there, but they would come all the time, you know, and stay. And of course, I was there too. My great-grandparents was Tom, and my great-grandmother was Mert Duvall. And they lived up on Beach Run Hill, when I remember. Because we'd all go up there and have, you know, just everybody get together. And but I can remember my grandmother because she would wear this old hat. And boy, she was, I think, the homeliest woman I ever knew. Really, next to me. But she was, and I went and stayed with her a couple of times, him and her, and she'd have that long nightgown on, that thing over her head, and whew, you'd look at her, but anyway, she was good. She was good. And my great-grandfather, what I remember about him, he was a nice-looking guy, had white hair, lots of it. I remember that. And that he used to stand at the coal stove and make bacon. And he'd only half fry it. But that's the way he liked it. So, but they had a farm up there. Last time I knew, it was still there, the house. So, but they didn't travel because they didn't have a car or nothing. So, they had a bunch of kids, but I don't know all their names. The only thing I really know is that my great-grandmother's name was Annie Miller. And my grandfather's dad's name was Marcellus Miller. But I didn't know them. They were both passed whenever I might have been a baby when she passed, I don't know. But I hear a lot of stuff good about her. Well, my mother's name was Pauline. And she had long, pretty hair. When I was young, she had long, curly hair. And she was really a pretty lady. And she had me and my brother Randy. And she worked hard all her life because she was married a couple times. But she ended up raising me and my brother. Well, that's wrong. Check. She raised my brother, and if Grandma needed her for me, she would be there. But she did. She worked hard. She had an old Edsel, old pink Edsel. You know what an Edsel is?
I've heard of them. I think I might have seen them.
She had a pink one and she had a green one. And I can remember sitting in her lap and her trying to show me how to drive. She was good. She was good in her own way. You know, she was never mean or nothing. But she just was different.
When you thought of her, what was she more like? Just like an aunt or something like that, or
Mom?
Yeah.
No, she was
was
more
still-
like a sister.
Okay.
And that's the same with Annabelle and all the rest of them. They were more my brothers and sisters. And Grandma and Grandpap was the only dad I ever knew. She was good. She was funny, and a lot of people remember her for her bacon, making beans and homemade rolls, and turkey gravy at Thanksgiving. And she liked to do that, and she liked to have everybody there. But still, she worked. She worked that whole time, and then, Johnny's 3 children. So, but she'd get mad maybe, but as far as being mean, she wasn't mean. Well, she was what they say, jack of all trades. She worked at the shoe factory in Kingwood. She worked at Sterling Faucet in Masontown. And then she come up to Michigan for a while, and she worked at Belleville Hospital. But that's all I recall now. But she worked at them for a while. It's not like she went for a day and, she, like Sterling Faucet, she even went to Morgantown when it changed from Arthurdale to Morgantown. She went down there and rode the bus. Every morning she'd get up at 4:30 and get on the bus. And it'd take her to work. And then it'd bring her home.
I know what someone said, but she always called off on Fridays or something like that.
Till they told her she couldn't do it no more. That's right, that's true. That's true. And Johnny was her boss. John Favreau was her boss. And he even had to lecture her. But anyway, she didn't pay no attention. They'd catch her sleeping in the bathroom. And it's true. It's true. Donnie, was it Donnie? One of the Martin boys caught her in there, I think. Well, she met John Favreau at Sterling Faucet. He was boss, supervisor. And then they started dating. And they was together for 43 years.
And you never lived with them then? You were already older when they had...
Yeah. Oh, I would stay, like if I'd come down with somebody else, I'd stay with them. Mm-hmm. But not very much.
You never lived with them?
No. I have one brother, and his name is Randy. Randall Eugene Huggins. And he is 6 years younger than I am. And he was a catbird. I mean to tell you, he was always into trouble. I mean, not bad trouble, like he'd go to my aunt's and he'd get mad and stomp, and they'd send him home, and go to Grandma, she'd send him home, and he was one of them children that only the mother could love. But still, he was a good boy, and he grew up and is a great man now. Me and my brother Randy, we got along pretty good. I said we had, like most sisters and brothers, we had our ups and downs. But I was married, and he was still in school. So, and I started having children, and we just kind of separated, because he lived with Mom, and I was married then. So, but we never had no real problems, never.
But you never really lived together or anything like that?
No, not for a long time. my Aunt Betty, I stayed with them a lot. And she used to take us roller skating and, do things with us. But at 36, she passed away. And little Jim, he passed away of lung trouble when he was, I think they said 12. So I never knew him. And my Aunt Annabelle, she's a funny one. She's always been good to me and always willing to help me and do whatever she can to help me, any way she can. And Twyla, she always says that she was my mother figure. And she was good to me. And I can remember when her and her husband, John Haddix, got married, they moved to New York. And when they moved, I can remember sitting in a swing behind the house, just crying my eyes off because I knew she had left. So, but then she took me with her once, and I went down and with them, but I was close to her. So, and then me and Grandma, we went over and stayed with her, Twyla and John. They lived in a apartment. I can remember it was like a up and down apartment, and because they didn't have much money then either. So that's where John had to go there to find work. That's the trouble with West Virginia. Everybody leaves, but we have to. We couldn't help it. Some stayed, but it was rough. But and then I've got Bill Miller, and he was the baby. And me and him, when we was younger, because me and him both stayed at Grandma's with Grandma and Grandpa. So we was kind of close, brother-sister deal. And he was always good to me. And, he drank, but, that was him. Oh, Uncle Earl, he's the oldest. He was my, step-uncle? But to me, he was my uncle. And he loved playing guitar, and he just a big old happy teddy bear all the time. Loved his grandkids, loved all kids. And everybody loved him. And that's about the best I can say because he was just a good person. I was pulled here and pulled there, and by the time I was 16, I was tired. I was tired being pulled around and stuff. And then anyway, I quit, and then I felt I wanted to go back. So I had to beg Grandma to go up there and up to Kingwood High School and admit me again. So I could go, because I thought, well, I did want to be somebody. And so anyway, she did. Got my books and my paper and pencils and...
How long did that last?
3 days. I had biology, and we had to dissect a frog. I didn't go back. No, I didn't want to do that. So then, by the time I quit, I met your grandfather. And me and him dated for 3 months and got married. I met him at my husband at Frank and Jenny's bar. And that's the truth. Oh, I was with my friend, and your grandpa, he was with his brother and Patty, a girl I went to school with. And so me and my friend Martha sat and got a beer, which wasn't old enough, but I got it anyway. And so I seen him, and I had Patty to come over, and she introduced us. And that was it. We dated. He had just got out of the service, out of the Army. So he had just started again. I think he'd just come home. But then he started working at Kingwood Mining in Albright. No, Valley Point. And, but he had back trouble because he got hurt, something happened in the Army. That's why he was getting his pension. I think $200 and some a month. And at that time, but that was nice. And, but anyway, a lot of times I'd go over to his mom's, and he would lay in the back of the coal stove on a board because his back hurt him so bad. And really it never, I got some better, but not completely. Oh, I've got pictures you would not believe. Them holding his neck up like this, and so he deserved what he got. But he really hurt bad, and always did. Always had some heart problems, you know. Well, he had an enlarged heart. And, but he was lucky. He never had any heart attacks or anything, or strokes, but it just, you know, it just took its toll, say. He had blood pressure, high blood pressure, and so he had bad eyes. So he had a lot of troubles. I don't remember Dave proposing, but that's been 50-some years ago. But I do know that we was married in Oakland, Maryland, at a little church. And there was probably 6 people there. And I wore a green suit, and Dave, he wore I think it was a black suit. You know, most people now want to pay $10,000 for a wedding dress. Well, I went and got a suit. And then the ones that was there, my maid of honor was my Aunt Twyla. And your grandpap's best man was his Uncle Dewey. And then my mom was there, Bill and Barb and Timmy, and Grandma Richards. So it was 5, 6, 7 people and me and Grandpa. And then after we got married, we all went to, because Grandma wouldn't go. She wouldn't go to the wedding. She really didn't want me to marry your grandpa. But as time went by, it got okay. Her and Grandpa both liked him, you know, because he was good to them. But they didn't give him a chance. And so anyway, she stayed home, but she made us dinner. She cooked a big old meal for us. So, you know, And my mom, she's the one that, man, it didn't take her but a minute to say, give her consent. Because she was only 17. So she had to give her consent. It didn't take her long. So, but then you want to know what we did for my honeymoon. Well, his brother and sister-in-law invited us to live with them. So they had an upstairs and a downstairs. So anyway, we made us a bedroom upstairs, and that's where we went for our honeymoon. To my brother-in-law Bill and sister-in-law Barb's. And anyway, we was upstairs. Oh, I don't know if I should say. We was upstairs in the bedroom, not doing nothing. But we heard Bill and them come home. And all of a sudden there went a bang, bang, bang on the ceiling or on the floor from us. And here it was hit Bill. Just saying, what are you guys doing up there, Range? But he was my favorite. He was something. I loved him too. He was good. But yeah, we stayed there for a good while. But then we moved to Rhoda Heaver Apartments in Kingwood. And then after that, we come up here. Because I think he got laid off at Kingwood Mining. Because he wasn't a quitter, so he had to have been laid off. And then we just come up here. Stayed with Dick and Lena, my aunt and uncle. Leo got him a job at Horst. And then Uncle Dick got him a better job at McIntosh in Detroit on West Chicago. So we got us an apartment. There was a 3 apartment house in Belleville by, there was a laundromat and a big parking lot, and there was a big house there across from Hayward's and Pizza. You know where the Bonita Pizza is? Okay, and it was a big white house. There's 3 apartments. Well, we started in the basement, and that's where I was pregnant with your mom. Well, I was pregnant with your mom, Tammy, whenever we moved up here. Anyway, then we lived down there for a while, and the people upstairs moved. So we went up to the 1 bedroom. Well, that's where I had Tammy at Ridgewood Hospital. So then we the people next door, they were good neighbors. They were really good to us. And so they bought them a house and moved. And it was a 2 bedroom. So we moved there. And we lived there till 1970. And we had a stillborn baby. And so then we bought this. Bought this house on Ecorse Road. And I've been here ever since. Well, it was September of 1970. And after we moved here, we had a baby boy. And his name was David Jr. And that was in 1972, in April 5th. And then we had a baby girl, another baby girl, in 1975, January 4th. Well, when I had my children, I was busy because I was doing things for the school. I was, doing volunteering to do things with them. So then after they got older, I started like working at Christmas time to make extra money so we could buy Christmas. And then Davy and Kelly was still at the high school, and I started working at the high school in the cafeteria 4.5 hours a day. But I made pretty good money. That was spending money. That was our spending money. Most of the time, all the neighborhood kids were in my yard playing baseball or playing. They always come here. So, but that wasn't a bad thing. And they always had friends staying, and we had fun. We had fun. Well, he had a real good friend, Bub, that he was in the army with in Vietnam. And anyway, after we had got married and lived in that big house that I told you about, they got in contact with each other, and Bub and his wife come to visit us. So that was something that was really, nice for your dad or grandpa to see, them. So, but he would talk, because he was rode on the helicopters like a gunman or whatever, and worked on. I had pictures. I don't know where they're at. I gave them to my son, and when he passed away, I don't know what happened to him. It's kind of sad, really, but what can I do? Like, we did a lot, like the baseball games, softball games, all that kind of stuff. But as far as went on trips,
that counts as activities, sports, or whatever.
Yeah, and we went on long vacations. We went Mount Rushmore, Badlands, just different places. But as far as I used to get out here in the yard and, like with you, and play baseball. I don't know if I ever did it with my own. I had cousins, Sandy and Alan, and me and my husband Dave, we were really close, So Alan had, I don't know if it was Alan's, I think it was Alan. He had a little Volkswagen. And so all four of us, me and, I think me and Sandy in the back, and Alan and Dave in the front. And we went all over the place, down in Virginia and just all over, and that. Had so much fun and laughed, and it was fun. So I remember that. I really remember that. See, now I don't remember if that was before me and your grandfather got married or after. I don't remember. But I know we went and we had a good time. I know that. But I can't remember about kids and, First of all, I like being a mother. That was my first passion. And then just being with them and doing things with them. And then them growing up and happy, that was another passion. And as far as myself, I used to love roller skating. That was my favorite. And we even went a couple times up here when the kids were little over at Ypsilanti. And we had a good time. And then I skied when I was younger. I liked that. But really, it was mostly just my husband and my kids and my grandkids. That was my passions. And my grandparents. The best thing that happened to me was meeting your grandfather. And the worst thing that ever happened to me was losing my husband and my son. That's two, but that's the way it is. That's the worst two things. I lost my husband at 38 years old. And after that, I had 3 teenagers and me. And my daughter was pregnant. And it was rough. It was rough trying to keep everything together and, But one nice thing, we made it. We survived, and thank God, because it was hard. And then what helped me was, and I don't want you to cut it out, was knowing when he passed away that I was going to get a little angel from God to help me deal with it, to, you know what I'm saying, to help me forget a little. Mm-hmm. And to talk to him, because me and you was here a lot. We could talk, But that's what helped me, and that's the honest to God's truth. So that's that. I learned that if you give it your all and you work together and know that you've got to be the person to take care of everybody and to make sure that they are okay. I said my son had to do tough love on him once. So I packed his clothes and put them on the doorstep, on the porch. And a couple of days later he called and asked if he could come back. So it must not have been too bad here. We just stayed here and did our best, and everything worked out. And I learned to just love them and the kids, and to just make as good a place as I could for them. That's all I could do. Keep them fed. Show them that you work. What I'm looking forward to for the future is that my family has good health. I have good health. And that someday I just hope I have a great grandbaby. And just have good health and be able to have my dinners once in a while, and because Thanksgiving's my day. That's what I like. That's what I look forward to. And just seeing the kids when they come, my grandkids. But that's what I look forward to, and I hope that I can do it until, it's time for me to go to bigger and better places. I was married, had children, and a widow by the time I was 38. So that, there was a lot of stuff going on, but like I said, we stuck together and we did okay, I think.
Mhm.
So, that's it. What did they say? Curtains. There are curtains